Could be. It's a big problem. You know what's the biggest cause of it now? Behavior hypothesis. That is one or
The Honorable, the Speaker.
The member for Kamuto Mansinilla.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I was explaining that while we were in government, we visited a facility in Miami called Chapman Facility. And this facility, if you travel often and you go to Miami, you will see that there are no street dwellers on the streets. And that is because of this successful facility that operates in Miami. And they also work in tandem with businesses, with the government. But the government does not play too much of a role except to bring in legislative agendas and so forth. And so when we wanted to emulate this facility here in Trinidad and Tobago, and therefore we were looking at establishing a working committee. As a matter of fact, a working committee was in fact being established, and I think that it would be beneficial if the minister looked at those that report that has been established. And you know, I was a little bit concerned that this working committee that was established, it says after 15 weeks, the member said after 15 weeks, a report came out, and the report says that the TTPS is the one responsible for removing the socially displaced, and that 30% of the socially displaced were in fact had mental health issues. And the third aspect was that there was no head count because they were unable to have a head count. And I'm saying the reason why the ministry cannot give you a head count is because you disbanded the IAU unit, which was the responsible for the implementation of the street dwellers removal plan. You have the policy and you had the implementation. And you disbanded and you fired everyone in the implementation unit. And as such, there is no one to actually go out and encourage persons, because we were very successful in having persons removed voluntarily because of their ability to speak and to persuade them. And so, you know, I don't see that the ministry will be moving forward successfully unless they understand that these programs are already in place. And as long as you continue to dismantle and disband and disrupt and send home persons, you're sending home key persons who have an idea and an understanding of how you can successfully implement this plan. The opposition leader stated in her budget presentation that one of the functions of a government is to be an investor in people. And that is sadly lacking coming from the government side, Madam Speaker. You know, during the tenure of the People's Partnership, our mantra consistently was people-centered development. And having already endured 12 months of this administration beginning in September 2015, citizens are today wary of this PNM administration going forward, and of the many hardships, the pain, and the suffering that citizens are expected to endure under an administration that simply has no plan whatsoever to keep this country's economy afloat, to inspire hope in the people, to inject confidence in institutions, both private and public. And there's no confidence whatsoever by any administration, by this administration, that has allowed this economy and this country to operate on autopilot. Or so it would seem, while focusing on trivial witch hunts, matters which add little or no value to the people and their social and economic progress of this country, but rather focus on issues which they perceive would give them political gain and clout. And I hear all the time on the other side, Madam Speaker, we'll lock you up, you're going to jail, you're a thief. And those are the things that they are focusing on, instead of focusing on how do we address the needs of the people, how do we help them cope with the economic hardships that are ahead for us. And so, You know, and it's as if to tell the nation and confirm that they have no plan as to how to govern the country. The finance minister, very early in his budget, I believe it's in page 3, indicated that implementation has not been easy. And you told the people that you can do a better job, that all you had the answers, and now you're hiding behind technicalities saying implementation has not been easy. Well, I beg to differ, because I'm going to say that implementation has never been the hallmark of the PNM. And so 2 years later, and 3 budgets amounting to $150 billion, there is little or nothing that one can show that can be deemed as meaningful and beneficial to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. So we're going to look, what has this PNM Rowley-led government implemented since assuming office? What new projects can citizens recall that have positively impacted on their social well-being? What new jobs have they created? What new have they done for our aging population and senior citizens as a whole? The poor, the indigent, the differently abled, many of whom are children or babies with special needs such as cerebral palsy and Down syndrome. You know, what has been done to help you know, those who are on the streets, you know, to be done humanely and voluntarily, remove them and rehabilitate such persons, those living below the poverty line. Madam Speaker, what this country can certainly remember about this PNM administration is not their implementation, but what they have mercilessly dismantled, diminished, and destroyed. And so what they have implemented instead is an avalanche of taxes on citizens, some with immediate effect, creating fear and panic. And we heard from the government MPs that there is fear and there is panic. So much so they're trying to alleviate those fears by telling them what? You got to tighten your belts. You got to, you know, stop drinking Pedrox, you know, and drink something else. And within the population, never in the history of this country have citizens expressed so much anxiety and fear in anticipation of a budget. You know, and what are the social implications and the burdens on the poor and the vulnerable? Madam Speaker, what we have heard in the budget that would cushion the impact to the poor and vulnerable, what have we heard? Little, nothing, absolutely nothing. All we hear is tighten your belt. Oh, by the way, everybody has to bear the brunt of the burden, everyone. And that's it. And that does not help them. That does not, you know, put in there any level of confidence or peace at mind at all. And so there's an ever-widening gap between the rich and the poor. And this has grown exponentially wider. And the value of the middle class to the country's social and economic development is constantly being eroded away. You know, Madam Speaker, when I was a minister, there was a situation where a company had, there was a fire. And we took a decision to be able to buffer their needs because of the fact that they would have been out of jobs and so forth. And while we were speaking with the technocrats, one of the things that they indicated, they said, well, you know, these people would have had good jobs or whatever it is. And that wasn't the case, you know. You know, there was this mindset, you know, once you have a refrigerator or a deep freeze or whatever it is, that, you know, you're insulated and then nothing that could happen to you. And if it did, then, you know, somehow you will be able to make it on your own. And the answer was no. I said, no, we're not giving anybody any help for the rest of their life. It is a 1-month window, 1 month to be able to help them, you know, be able to stabilize their financial and economic situation while they go job hunting. And it was really trying to pull teeth, and it's because of the fact there's this lack of understanding that sometimes things do happen. And I know now that we're in a situation where a lot of middle class have now become what we would term the working poor. You know, they are now faced with a situation, and therefore the policies and the social development plans must include where it is you have these this new stakeholder that is coming onto the social economic plan, that their needs are addressed, you know, equitably. And that is what the concerns are, whether there's equitable distribution when you have this level of issues and problems affecting our country. With the growing unemployment as a result, What assistance will be made available to them? What of the National Employment Registry? What has become of it? And how many persons have been gainfully employed since its inception? I mean, all these questions, we keep hearing these figures being bandied about. I know, coming back to the figures of what Member for Lopino-Bonnier West indicated, when Member said that 30% of the persons on the streets have a mental health issue. If you don't have a head count, how can you put that 30%? I mean, I don't know. I don't know if my mathematician colleague here could help. But if you don't know, if you don't have an idea of a head count, you don't know how many persons are on the streets, then how can you say that 30% of those who are on the streets have a mental problem? So I don't know. So these figures, kind of confuses me, and therefore I think that we need to be very careful when we speak about data, which I think Honorable Opposition Leader alluded to when she spoke of a book, How Do You Lie with Statistics? I think that was the name of the book. And so we have to be very careful. And so, how does the state, through the Ministry of Social Development, intend to monitor and evaluate the increase and decrease of the poverty levels? And I'm making this case, Madam Speaker, because of the fact that the monitoring and the evaluation department was disbanded, and everyone from that unit was fired. How can you remove M&E department? And I heard Member for Finance is speaking about this monitoring and evaluation, and she's explained it head on, spot on. And I'm saying, yeah, no, you understand, but it's not happening in the Ministry of Social Development, a key ministry. And I tell you why it's a key ministry. Because when you have policies in place, Madam Speaker, you must be able to ascertain whether the policies that you have established and the programs you have in place, if they're in fact impacting positively or negatively, whether it is bringing about relief or is causing undue hardship. You must have this system in place to be able to measure, because that's how you know whether you're on the right track or you're on the wrong track, and you make a detour. And so it's not a situation where you guess, you sit down in your office and say, well, I don't think this works or that should work. You have scientific and clinical studies being done to show that persons who came into the program are in fact coming off the program because they have been empowered, because that is what a ministry is supposed to do. It's supposed to empower you, to help you to become a social, viable and solid contributor to society. So I think it's a misunderstanding or a lack of understanding of how important these statistics assesses the things that needs to understand how a program works. And, what is very important is that we had, through the Honorable Prime Minister of the time, Kamala Persad-Bissessar, while she was Minister of Legal Affairs, she envisaged this plan of having this biometric card. And I will speak about the biometric card over and over and over again, because I don't think people understand the importance of it. And I'm going to explain this. We have invested a tremendous amount of financial and human resources into providing this system, which eligible citizens of Trinidad and Tobago would have been able to access a range of social benefits, including social assistance grants, disability grants, food cards, and general assistance grants, with the use of a singular card at scores of merchants throughout the country. Now, this biometric card would have allowed the ministry to better manage the system of grant distributions. I heard Minister of Finance and a couple of other ministers, I think Member for San Fernando East, indicating that as a result of a number of grants that are available to the various ministries, that you have a number of duplication of grants, and you have a number of persons who are accessing all these various grants, and which may not be the best way of handling state funds, and in fact might be an abuse. Now, what this card would have done, it would have ultimately lowered administrative costs, the abuse of state funds, fraud, and of course duplications of grants to any one person. For instance, Madam Speaker, during the 2015 elections, there was someone on Facebook who had displayed, I think it was about 5 or 6 ID cards. The same person with different ID cards, different names, different personas, different addresses. And you could have this one person who could have several ID cards. How it happens, I don't know. I'm not here to investigate that. But what I do know is this little finger here. This finger here that has a lot of little circles around on your finger, there's only one of that for one person. Nobody could duplicate that. Because it cannot be duplicated, this in itself prevents any abuse. Yes, your fingerprint. Any abuse, any fraud, any duplication. And therefore, it was a foolproof plan to prevent and to reduce significantly corruption. But you know, I don't understand, and I probably need to be told, why would any responsible, right-thinking government not want to implement this system? Why? You know, yes, it was costly. And like everything else, when you have to put systems in place, it costs a lot initially. But when you think about the cost that you would save at the end, in terms of not just finances, but you would have brought a level of efficiency to the system, and you also would have been able to you would have also been able to measure, because what this would have done, and this is a very key point, especially for senior citizens, people who actually have to move, assuming that an elderly person has gotten ill and she has to move and go and live by her daughter, and her daughter lives, say, Shagonas. She left from my constituency. Once your file must go. Once your file leaves that office, it could get lost. Once it gets lost, that's it. Your grant will be immediately stopped until someone picks up on that file, traces it, or tries to probably create a new one. And that has happened to a number of persons. And therefore, what the biometric card would have done, would have provided for case management. So it means that it would have been an integrated IT system, where it is, you know, you could go any part of the country, and you could go into an office, and you would be able to access, you know, whatever information that is required. And currently, you can't do that. If you're based in Santa Grande, you have someone there, if that person is sick, on vacation leave, decide not to come back out to work, you know, you are in limbo. And so therefore, it causes unnecessary bureaucracy to the persons who are receiving grants. So it would have brought about a greater level of efficiency into the system. And of course, you know, when you talk about cost overruns, you look, I think member for Tabakit was indicating, you know, that when you need to look at the ports, if you are able to collect the revenue from the ports, then you know you reduce costs. And so yes, it will cost a lot of money to put scanners there. But when you look at the reduction and the removal of high level of drugs and ammunition from entering our country, the cost may be high in terms of putting the necessary systems in place, but in terms of reducing the abuse and the fraud, it will be even more beneficial to the country. So therefore, I do not buy the point from the minister that the biometric system was way too expensive, and therefore they removed it. And you know what it is you're going to bring back? I see the minister had indicated there was a new card development, an integrated IT system. And what is this system? What does it do? You know, and in addition to this biometric card, do you know one of the things that you ought to measure when it is you're dealing with poverty reduction? It's not just if people are receiving food, you know. You have to ensure that they're receiving the food. Now, when you have a direct deposit system, a check goes into it. When I pull out the monies from the bank, I could go and buy cigarettes. I could go and buy alcohol. I could go and buy anything other than food. And therefore, what it is this biometric card does, you are only allowed to purchase food items from the groceries or pharmacy. You have certain things that you outline, and therefore you can ensure that the nutritional needs of the most vulnerable are being met. But with that being removed, there's no gauge, there's no measurement, there's no monitoring, there's no evaluation, and therefore when we have to do our reports for the UN, what are we going to put? You know, because right now, The UN report says that the poorest part of the country is in my constituency. And in my constituency, people can't access any grants. They've been turned away. They've been told they're not eligible. You know, as a matter of fact, you know, just coming off a little bit, with this bread that passed, I heard a member for San Fernando East speak about, you know, they had these grants, $15,000 and bread, and people were able to put up their homes and everything. You know how much my constituents received, Madam Speaker? $1,000. $1,000. And so it is important for us to understand where is the equity in the system. Where is the equity? And so this data would not be captured in the system because of the fact that with a direct deposit, you have checks going in, you don't know how the money is being spent, and therefore you don't even know if you're getting value for money. And I think this is what the outcry is about from persons outside. What is the value for money? They're not seeing it, and their concern is to eat of food. And therefore what we were trying to do in the People's Partnership is to remove that and to empower people and get them, you know, self-sustenance. I know what is really missing. You know, there are two critical elements missing from this administration. If there is to be success through these economic conditions, would be leadership and management, sorely missing and absent in this current scheme of things. And under the guise of an audit, the unit was dismantled. I mean, this same food card was dismantled, some 15 regional offices shut down, and close to 100 contract workers thrown on the breadline. And what was left of the food card unit is now lumped with social welfare, adding bureaucracy to the entire system. So this budget really has not assisted in any way. And so we talk about the increase in diesel and gas price. Anyone who understands economics would know that once you touch fuel, you've touched everything. So to say that the poor is not impacted is untrue. It is not a reality. You're living in Mars or somewhere. And so with anyone with a heart for the vulnerable in society would know that, you know, within a short 2-year period, something which has been in place for decades would have had a devastating impact on several quarters and sectors of society. And so we look at a domino effect, a ripple effect, a cascading effect in terms of what is happening here. So we have here in October 2nd, 2016, Joel Julian, a reporter of the Trinidad Guardian, is quoted the Honorable Member for Diego Martin West as saying, you better begin to get weaned off the government because the government's shoulder cannot carry the weight anymore. And in other words, like the last budget, this budget is also saying, pay your taxes, expect nothing. But all of us must share in the burden of adjustment, governance, PNM style. So, Madam Speaker, these elementary principles of business, that fuel drives this economy, the fuel that carries goods and services and people on a daily basis, such an increase as announced in this budget, some 48% increase in the price of diesel fuel would send shockwaves throughout the purchasing public. And an already straddled middle class will be further economically burdened. Those living on fixed incomes, minimum wage, pensioners, the self-employed, they are the ones that would carry the cost of living, as producers and suppliers would pass the increased costs to the end of the consumer. So this scenario is well articulated by the president of the Coover Point Leases Chamber, that is Liaquat Ali. And he said, you know, that the 2018 budget is a blow to small businesses and consumers who will be forced to raise prices in order to stay afloat. The price of diesel, and I continue, which increased from $2.30 to $3.41 per liter, will not only harm small businesses, but will cause more hardship for consumers. You know, and he says, you know, the price of the goods will increase. And they, as a business community, absorbed fuel increases from previous years to keep some of the costs down, but this increase is definitely going to make an impact. And so who is going to pay for it? Well, forget about us. It's the poor, the indigent, the most vulnerable who will be impacted the worst. So no doubt the spending and purchasing power will continue to reside in the pockets of the wealthy, creating a social imbalance, which, if not managed carefully, can lead to social discontent and upheaval. You know, member for Dabadi Omero was indicating that he had a teacher, Miss Ugal, who helped him guide him on the path that he's on, and he said he wished that, there was more like her. And I want to tell you something, Madam Speaker. The baby grant was removed. And the baby grant was not a handout. As a matter of fact, there was an important module to the baby grant that was so critical that if you wanted to be on it, you had to go through it. It is called a training. It was training module. And the first training, of course, I went through it. And most of the parents who were there came with an elderly, a mother or grandmother. And you wouldn't believe, at the end of the training module, they all said this, and you could go back to the persons and ask, and they all indicated, they said, Minister, had we known this, we would have made better choices. We would have made more responsible decisions. And that was the whole aspect of it, because we're all complaining that there's this mindset, how you deal with the mindset, how you deal with the cultural mindset. And so if it is you deal with a mindset, there must be a training module in place where young mothers are having babies. And I'm not saying that babies are not good, but you must be able to provide for them. And the government must not be the source of income. And it must be that we are putting in place a path for you to follow that says, look, you need to understand that whatever thoughts and patterns you may have had before is not, it does not bring equity in your home, because sometimes one child benefits and the others can't, for a number of reasons. And so no, don't, the Prime Minister cannot make a decision, said to choose wisely. They're being trained. If they don't know any better, then we have to be able to put in place. And so you remove the baby grant along with the training component. And what happens? You don't have the exposure out for persons, and therefore you would never have someone like Ms. Ugal to guide persons on the way, because you may not have it. Some persons don't even go to school. And so, Madam Speaker, I decided, you know what, I want to see for myself how difficult it is. And so I went shopping. I went to the grocery. And I didn't go to the grocery for me. After interviewing several persons with different salary brackets, and after reading this article, I wouldn't hold up the article, after reading this article, Scary Future for Single Parent by Sasha Wilson, there's this single parent who says that, she's scared. She says, and this is it, I am scared because things so hard already. What am I going to do? Because things will go up. Once fuel prices go up, groceries, transport, all those things will go up. Ram Charan, 45, said at her pundit trace home yesterday. And so she knows that once they touch fuel, everything will go up. But apparently Minister of Finance doesn't understand that. But I decided I'm going to speak to different persons. And I went to the grocery with the intention of purchasing food for 3 groups of households. For instance, the first household consists of a grandmother, a mother, a father, and 3 children who go to school. And they told me they put aside $2,000 for groceries on a monthly basis out of their entire pool salary. And so therefore you divide it 4 weeks now. Sometimes you have a 5-week month. But we're not working 5, we're working 4. And so you divide it up, and you have $500 for the month, of which 2 of that $100, they go to the market and they buy the greens and the provisions and whatever it is. And so here it is, you have $300 per week. And then the 2 other families consist of single-parent homes that can barely afford $1,000 per month, which equates to $250 per week. And Madam Speaker, I took the role of both a Muslim and a Hindu family. I don't know what were the religious backgrounds of any of the persons, but I chose not to inquire. It was not relevant. What was relevant was that I went in the grocery to look for things that I can stretch. I had to look for things that could yield. And so I went and I said, okay, if I'm Hindu, I cannot buy anything that is beef. So I can't buy the corned beef that would have stretched to feed 10 persons. And of course, if I'm Muslim, I can't buy anything that is with pork. And so therefore I can't buy spam, which could be stretched to feed 10 persons or more. And so I went and I got some groceries. And I went, and I wouldn't hold up the paper, I'll just tell you. First of all, well, this is how it went on the cash register, not that I had planned it that way. I know I need the food, but I also need toiletries, so I had to buy toilet paper. So heading on my list was a 6-pack of toilet paper. And then the 2 persons that I interviewed were young, and because they're young, it means as a woman, she needs to get her toiletries, sanitary napkin. She cannot do without that. And so I bought one of that. I bought 2 tins of sausage. I bought chicken Vienna sausages. I bought a tin of tuna, a tin of sardine, a tin of luncheon meat, chicken luncheon meat. Onions, because I have to season it. I'm not buying any other thing, I'm buying season. Braise, because I have to wash not only my clothes, but my children's clothes. I bought cream of wheat, because I didn't have any oats, but I bought something that can yield, so I can stretch. I bought flour. I bought cheese, eggs. I bought macaroni, because again, macaroni can yield. I bought milk, powdered milk, and let me tell you why I bought powdered milk as opposed to anything else. At least powdered milk, I can mix a little bit and a little bit of water. I can water it down, like when you're going to, remember you're doing watered down juice when you're going to the Chinese shop? I have watered down milk. Watered down milk. So that at the end of the day, you know, the baby, if the baby drinking powdered milk, at least the baby could get powdered milk too. May not be the right milk, but at this point, I have to think about everybody in my household getting a little bit of something to eat. I bought, I considered hard and long. Should I buy the packs of peas such as split peas, black-eyed peas, lentils, red beans, or should I buy the tin? And let me tell you why. You might say to me, well, obviously, yes, obviously, it will yield, but guess what? If I don't have, if I don't have gas, if a tin of peas will take me 2 minutes.
Original 45 minutes and now spend your entitled 10 more minutes if you wish to avail yourself. Please proceed.
So I can't, and so I'm considering, should I take 20 minutes of gas to cook something that will yield? Or should I buy a tin, which will be two minutes, you know, of cooking? You know, and the point is, do I do that? You know, and I decided, you know what, I will go with the dried beans. I bought, of course, soap because I have to bathe myself. I bought Lipton. I had to drink some tea because guess what? If at the end of the day my children don't get anything, I could drink some tea. If I drink some hot tea, I don't have any soursop. If I could drink some hot tea, maybe I could survive this while my children eat. Now here, when I bought this, it came at $349.71. In other words, it crossed the threshold for the $250 for 2 families, and it crossed also the threshold for the person who has the $500 to spend, but needed $200 to go to the market to get cheaper stuff, you know, buy the provision and stuff. And so at the end of the day, you ask yourself, okay, how many meals can this prepare? And you know how many? Let me tell you. For one person, you're looking at 21 meals because it's 3 meals a day for 7 days. That is 21 meals. And for a family of 6, it will be 126 meals a day. And this, what I bought here, could only give a week, 126 meals a week. And so what this could only provide was meals for 2.5 days. So therefore, it means, therefore, that it's difficult for anybody to survive. It's difficult. It's difficult. It's difficult. And so, Madam Speaker, you know, So, Madam Speaker, I know some parents might be saying, okay, maybe I can work with 63 meals, because 63 meals, how do I get 63 meals? If my child goes to school for a week, he or she can get breakfast or lunch in school. Breakfast or lunch, because they're depending now on the food, the school feeding program, which I have been told has been reduced. So therefore, it means that the children today may not be able to get anything like that. So going on, Madam Speaker, it is a very real concern that we have to address. For the gender division, I have concerns regarding the Children's Authority. There's a lack of development policy and framework for the years ahead. What system and policies in place in accordance with the Act? Madam Speaker, a grave incident took place earlier this year when a director removed a child from the protective home and was placed in the director's home unknowingly to the board. A report was subsequently submitted by the then chairman, Stephanie Daly. My question is, where is that report and what are the findings? And in addition to that, the member for Port Bay North, St. Anne's West, apparently called for an investigation of which Justice Paula Waymeeks had investigated. I'm calling for this report to be laid in Parliament with immediate effect. For the Ministry of Sport and Youth Affairs, there's a young lady, 11 years old in my constituency, Chelsea Winters, has won 15 competition that she has attended, karate, and she has won all gold, local, regional, international. I'm asking the minister to put her on the list that he announced, that she may be able to get the requisite assistance. Of course, there's crime all over. There's crime in my constituency. We're asking, Madam Speaker, for the Honourable Minister to to allow for astute management and leadership to be a key feature in dealing with the situation in the constituency regarding the crime. And of course, that my constituency is predominantly agriculture. Things are cut, yet we need access roads. The farmers are going to pay more because they're going to pay more for diesel and they're going to pay more for tires because they were dependent on these subsidies to be able to absorb some of the costs. So the food now is going to increase, vegetable and so forth is going to increase. And so we're asking for the roads to be repaired, the access roads, a number of roads, Compara Road, a number of roads, Alexis Road, Salazar Road. And then, of course, we have in Ministry of Works, we have a number of roads, Guayco Terminal, one of the roads that we are asking for. And I already say that, till that the government will be warned, the writings on the wall, you have been weighed and found wanting, the people will speak. Your political reign is slowly but surely coming to an end, when the people will wean themselves from you, and you need to understand that. They will, and they have started already. And it's because of the level of disrespect that the people are seeing and say, no, they don't want it. They don't want this level of disrespect. The change in paradigm and putting the economy on a sustainable path is furthest from the truth. And therefore, you need to understand that this classification of the Dutch disease, who implemented it? Who put that in place? It comes from that day when it was established long ago, when the comment was made, maybe not, it was not meant to be that way, but it was taken and mastered they done. So what has happened now? We are suffering as a result of that. And so, Madam Speaker, I'm looking for, as I said, there are some roads that we needed to get repaired in the constituency. Some roads that, and the hospitals, the minister was saying that the hospitals, he has increased the tax. And I know he was laughing about it as though it was going to affect member for Barataria, San Juan. But what has happened? The people cannot get, the poor and the indigent cannot get the assistance in the public institutions. There either no equipment, or it is down, or something is wrong. And therefore they have to take, have barbecues and all different things to be able to go into the various to go to the private hospitals to have their surgeries. So, we are saying that, we think that it only impacts upon the rich, but it doesn't. It impacts upon everybody, including them, because they need medical assistance just like anybody else. They have situations where they need to be operated on just like anybody else. They're no different. And so, therefore, Madam Speaker, again, I'm concerned about, the level of quarantine that is that is in the agricultural society, in the agricultural sector, because we had the Prime Minister and the Minister of Agriculture visit my area, and after that, the citrus, 65,000 citrus plants were infected with a disease and had to be destroyed. And there, as a matter of fact, there were 200,000 in the entire country. And why? Because a plant might have been brought in that had this disease. And therefore, you know, I'm asking, is there proper quarantine procedures in place? Is this going to be a matter just like many years ago with the anthuriums, where it was decimated as a result of the lack of quarantine put in place for us? And so, you know, we are not seeing the level of enthusiasm that is spoken about in the agricultural sector. As I said, my area is agriculturally based. And so, therefore, for the roads that I'm requesting for slope stabilization and road rehabilitation would be the following: Bonnier Road, St. Isidore Road, St. Mary Emmanuel, Marcus Road, the Eastern Main Road in Marval, everyone knows that, St. Ian's Trace, Veronica Boulevard, Tamina Section 2 Road, Guayco Tamina Road, Komoto Main Road, Chiruma Road, Guatapahara Road, and Bongdi Alsing Road, Balata Hill Road, Tamina Hill Road, Los Amadelios Road, Bramble Trace, Alexander Trace, Barker Trace, Good Hope Trace, Sonia Drive, Old Plum Road, Sukram Trace, Peterson Trace, Pat Lawrence Drive, just to name a few. But it would be remiss of me if I did not make mention of it, because my constituents are anxiously waiting to hear that I have made them proper representation in the House. And with those few words, I thank
you. Madam Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to contribute to the debate on the Appropriation Bill of 2018. And I would like to first congratulate the Minister of Finance, assisted by the Minister of Planning, for the delivery of an excellent budget statement. Excellent budget statement, changing the paradigm, putting the economy on a sustainable path. Madam Speaker, before I go into my budget presentation, all I could remember listening to my sister there, who is from Kamuto Manzilla, the Honorable Member of Parliament. It's an old song my parents taught me, you know. It's a calypso. Teacher Percy say, if you tell a lie, you're going to hell as soon as you die. Because, Madam Speaker, I will say why I'm saying this. You see, when the last storm passed, I was at the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation, when many of the constituents of Komoto Manzanilla received grant from the HDC and social services. So, Madam Speaker, and I will tell you why, Madam Speaker, the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation, unfortunately, is one where you have an equal proportion of PNM and UNC representative. And I was proud to see that persons from the both areas, because in that regional corporation, the Komoto Manzanilla district and the Toko Sangre Grande district are represented. And I saw, Madam Speaker, persons from the both areas receive grant and cash grant to boot, Madam Speaker, and they were quite pleased. So today, Madam Speaker, I think when we stand in this honorable house, I do not want to come from an organization to try and big up police service when I believe in honesty and integrity and high standards. To come and stand up in this house here this evening, Honorable Madam Speaker, and listen to lies, half-truths, and innuendos.
Okay, Member for Toko San Grande, just withdraw that word, please.
And
I know that you can say it in another way.
But I will still say that I'm surprised to hear the statement made that nobody received any benefits when I saw persons from the Komoto Manzanilla district receive benefits. Madam Speaker, I want to go back to the whole concept of changing the paradigm and putting the economy on a sustainable path. And I want to also say that today I stand here proud to represent my constituency of Toko Sangre Grande. And you know, Madam Speaker, in that constituency where I grew up, I have been taught a lot of things that serve me in my capacity as a woman. And one thing we do, we try to speak plain language. But you know, I want to say this for the members of my constituency to understand that, you know, we must not be carried away by how people turn around language. Because I want to say, and I want to refer to the energy sector revenue and taxes and royalties. Because in 2010, this country received 15.7 billion. In 2017, 2.1 billion. And you know, just this morning, I had to speak to 2 members of my constituency because they were confused when they heard gas prices going up, diesel going up. I would rather change it around, Madam Speaker, and put it in a more positive perspective. So I tried to explain to the members of my constituency, listen, in 2010, we had 15.7 billion. And in 2017, we have 2.1 billion. But what is happening now is that the government is paying subsidy on your gas and your diesel. And any responsible government, put it like a family arrangement. Times have changed drastically. We are entering the world, the real world. I will not stand here and say a story, like a story tale. I would want to bring my constituency to a position of realism and to explain to them that if you have a house to run and you have less money, but you have more bills, you have to cut and contrive. You see, the country people have that saying, learn to cut and contrive. And then we come to a realization, because if I want to go to the bank for a loan, but I have more expenditure than revenue, which bank would give me a loan? And we could put that example to our own country, Trinidad and Tobago. Because if Trinidad and Tobago has to be assessed on the international market, but we just having a good fun time and spending, as we saw happen from 2010 to 2015. Madam Speaker, how do we expect our country to be categorized? And Madam Speaker, my people understand that. So no amount of rabble-rousing in this house could influence them otherwise, because they understand that Trinidad and Tobago today, we are facing different times. And we must face things as we see it. So, Madam Speaker, we speak now about diversifying our thinking. And my sister, again, she spoke about going to the grocery. But I would speak about eating healthy. I would speak about eating healthy and following the direction of the Minister of Health. Because he has gone to pains to tell the people of this land how we should eat healthy. Madam Speaker, people are dying of cancer. As I stand here, I mourn the death of my sister in the police service who died of cancer. And we don't know what are the causes of such these deaths. So, Madam Speaker, today, where are we? Where are we as a country? And as a member of parliament, I want to stand as a responsible member of parliament. They may not like me for everything because I stand for reality. And at the end of the day, they would love me. You know why they would love me, Madam Speaker? They would love me for my honesty and my integrity. So this budget takes us to the point of realism. So, Madam Speaker, as the Member of Parliament for Toko Sangre Grande, I would look at where we want to be and how we would align our goals in that constituency with what the government is offering, what this government is offering to society. And Madam Speaker, we have our problems like everybody else. We have unemployment, we have housing needs, we have access road desires, we need water. But you know what, Madam Speaker? We understand that there is something called prioritizing. Prioritizing, if you make a list of grocery and you have only $5, you would prioritize on what are the most important needs. So, Madam Speaker, what is there in the budget to help my constituents? And Madam Speaker, first of all, I looked at the agriculture incentives. I looked at the agriculture incentives and what there were for the fisher folks. And I want to thank the Minister of Agriculture for putting up for the building of the depot, the fishing depot at Cumana. And I'm looking, Madam Speaker, at the access to ownership of land for young people from the Ministry of Agriculture. I intend to help them by organizing groups so that they could access lands and training to be categorized as a farmer, that they could benefit from the $100,000 grant. Madam Speaker, to the young men who are always called touts in the maxi taxi, now they can have ownership. They can buy their maxis. And from Grande to Toko, we have problem with transportation. They could provide transportation from Grande to Cumana to Toko to Sanssouci and to Matlat. So, Madam Speaker, there is an opportunity that a young man could become an entrepreneur by buying his own maxi and working. So, Madam Speaker, again, we have to look at what opportunities there are for our young people and for the other members within our community. The next area I looked at, Madam Speaker, is the whole situation of housing. And as you know, Toko Sangre Grande, we have a squatting issue. But I'm working together with the Minister of Housing and the LSA department, and very soon we have 2 housing estates which would receive their deed of title. And I want to thank the Minister of Housing for understanding. And Madam Speaker, not only that, we have many incentives which we work with those communities in Toko Sangre Grande to better their community life, like giving the water tanks to the various community. Madam Speaker, it is not what is there. You have to have that vision. But Madam Speaker, unfortunately, not everybody has that vision. You need to have a positive vision for your constituency. I want at this time to also thank the Minister of Education for his work on the Early Childhood Center in Valencia. The Minister of Labor for the continuation of the community-based incubation program, which we call SEED, where there's an incentive again for financing. I want to thank again the Minister of Agriculture for developing the agricultural, horticultural planting for people in Grand Riviere and Matlat. So, Madam Speaker, our farmers, they are welcoming the $100,000 grant. And I'm saying that they're going to put it to use, and I'm going to help them as a Member of Parliament. Not to be left out, Madam Speaker, the proposed highway, as we saw just open a few weeks ago, from Komoto to Manzanilla. I was present, and Madam Speaker, that highway has provided us and will provide my constituents with employment that they sorely desire, because I have met with the contractors and they have promised to help us, and I'm working along with the Minister of Works. So, Madam Speaker, you see, when some people decide to criticize and not see, because, Madam Speaker, fortunately, that highway started in the area of Komoto Manzanilla. And, Madam Speaker, we could all share. Sometimes in my constituency, I see people from both Komoto Manzanilla and Toko Sangre Grande. So I will say all of them will benefit, because they are coming, and I'm going to deal with them. The proposed highway, again, going into Toko, and the port, the expected development of the port. I am looking at the future. So we are meeting, we are developing cooperatives, and developing training programs for members within our constituency so that when it comes, we will be prepared. And Madam Speaker, with the ability and the type of people we have in Toko Sangre Grande, I can tell you that with that Toko port and that highway upon completion, it will be the beacon that will provide what the Minister of Finance is looking for, diversification, Madam Speaker. Yes. Now, I heard many people speaking this morning about lack of funding, lack of help. And I want to say, I too want to thank many of the citizens who came on board when we had that flood in Matlock. We actually opened the floodgate in Trinidad and Tobago. I want to thank the responders from that ordeal. Firstly, I want to thank the Minister of Works. He was there within the first 24 hours. The Ministry of National Security, the Ministry of Housing, the Ministry of Social Development, Community Development. Madam Speaker, I want to thank most of the colleagues on this side because most of the ministry, even Minister of Sports was up there. I want to thank them for their response to that ordeal we went through in Matlock, Toko, Commander, where we saw Matlock being cut away from the rest of Trinidad and Tobago. Would you believe, Madam Speaker, in 1 week, we were able to restore connectivity by the building of a Bailey Bridge. I want to thank the Minister of Works and Transport. So, Madam Speaker, I want to highlight some of the sponsors. You see, throughout the year, we have had many functions, and wait not for the help of the citizens and the corporate citizens within Toko Sangre Grande and outside Toko Sangre Grande, it would not have been possible. You see, we got help and we were able to have many activities like a sports day, emancipation celebration, Indian Arrival Day, Corpus Christi tree planting exercise. So throughout the year, I was able to have my constituents happy, engaged, and always doing some kind of activity. They always look forward to another day. So, Madam Speaker, this is what we speak about when we speak about an MP for constituency. Madam Speaker, being able to articulate, to streamline, to maximize opportunities, and think for ourselves, make adjustments in these trying economic challenging times. Madam Speaker, I want to thank each and every one of my colleagues who have helped me during the course of this year. I want to now turn to my being the Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of National Security. But before I turn there, I want to also thank the members of staff of my office, for the Toko Sangre Grande office, for their dedication to duty, hard work, coming out at nights, coming out at weekends, even on holidays, to make these things a reality. I thank you all. Madam Speaker, let me assure you, Madam Speaker, that this government undoubtedly share a common preoccupation, and that is the safety and security of Trinidad and Tobago and its citizens and visitors alike. And Madam Speaker, we are at a juncture in this country's national security history where our defense and protective agencies, our police officers, must bear, and they are bearing, greater responsibility in safeguarding our nation. In consideration of new threats, Madam Speaker, locally, regionally, and internationally, our national security environment, Madam Speaker, is of a multidimensional phenomenon. And any response to solve these issues would require a multidimensional and collaborative approach. And this is absolutely necessary if we are to successfully achieve a reduction in crime. So, Madam Speaker, in keeping with our government's national development strategy, our national security agencies are utilizing 5 strategic pillars: prediction, prevention, detection, prosecution, and rehabilitation. And Madam Speaker, with my experience, 35 years in the police service, ending as an Assistant Commissioner of Police, I can tell you that these pillars are on point, and it comprehensively covers all aspects in crime fighting. So, Madam Speaker, in my role as Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of National Security, I have been tasked by the Minister of National Security to oversee the ministry's social intervention program, which falls under the umbrella of the prevention pillar. And I wish to emphasize, Madam Speaker, that the Ministry of National Security understands the critical needs to continue investing dedicated attention to the social side of crime management as we work to increase citizen security. But, Madam Speaker, we must understand that crime is manifested from a mindset which seeks to deviate from social codes and rules established for collective safety and order. Over time, Madam Speaker, our societal values have become unfortunately skewed. The sense of duty that makes us respect the law has contributed positively to community and country. But, Madam Speaker, that has been lost. What do we see in our society today, Madam Speaker? And I want to quote from the last speaker, Oropouche West, because, Madam Speaker, Oropouche West identified what's happening in our society today. Because I was just going to quote from the Sunday Express, where 2 relatives held in pensioners' killing. And again, self-gain, inhumane behavior, hunger for revenge, protests for everything, increased levels of anger, senseless killing. So, Madam Speaker, I was happy to hear the member for Oropouche West outline some of these issues. But, Madam Speaker, when this government tried to bring legislation to this Parliament, what was the response? Apart from one, every single one, we did not get the requisite support, Madam Speaker. But, Madam Speaker, this is the culture I have realized emanating from this honorable House. That, you know, today we say yes, but tomorrow we say no. When it suits people's favor. Because, yes, we are admitting to the problems, and we are admitting to women's problem, and who knows women's problem more than me? Madam Speaker, I've been there. I've seen the tears. Madam Speaker, I've seen ex-ministers hauled before the police stations for investigation. I could read, Madam Speaker. Yes, Madam Speaker. So you see, what is happening in this society? It is about our minds. Our minds. And we need to come together collaboratively to make a difference. There are those who banter the supposition that the passage of illegal firearms and drugs through our borders is the ultimate cause for crime in our society. But, Madam Speaker, it is criminal minds and hands that inflict harm. It is criminal minds and hands that inflict harm. Therefore, Madam Speaker, social behavior change has been our targeted focus as we strive to transform the mindset that now pervades us. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of National Security is taking an active and vested interest in influencing voluntary compliance with the law. This is what we are about. We are trying to influence voluntary compliance. And how are we going to do that, Madam Speaker? We intend to do that by changing and improving on our social condition and culture of individuals, groups and communities. My sister from St. Anne's West, she spoke about all her initiatives, Madam Speaker. St. Anne's East, sorry. She spoke about her initiatives. And those initiatives are initiatives that impact positively on preventing crime. And this is what we expect to happen in this society, Trinidad and Tobago, today. And when I speak, Madam Speaker, the only thing I ask of the opposition, those on the other side, is the support. Support good legislation.
It's constitutional.
Because, Madam Speaker, we are creating greater opportunities for choices and strengthening social bonds and encouraging the practice of social control. But in order to ensure that we get that, Madam Speaker, we need your support so that this country, by and large, will voluntarily comply with the law. Voluntarily comply with the law. Madam Speaker, the government is cognizant of the need to address crime at all levels. We are not looking at only the women. You will be surprised that the men are most often victims of crime. So we are looking at all. We are not taking one side against the other side. We are looking at all, Madam Speaker. Youth violence, however, is high priority, high visibility concern for us. Not only in Trinidad, though, Madam Speaker, but throughout the world and across the Caribbean. Our young people, though, are suffering from exposure to all types of violent crime. And I call on all my colleagues here in this house today, let us be the example. Let us be the example by our behavioral patterns while we sit in this honorable house. Let us be the example by the lives that we live, Madam Speaker. We should be the example because I read social media and they are all speaking about our behavior patterns. So, Madam Speaker, I want to assure you that our ministry's social intervention programs are designed to provide our young citizens with guidance, training, mentoring, alternatives to deal with these negative lifestyles. Madam Speaker, one of the greatest accomplishments we have had so far is the Trinidad and Tobago Cadet Force. Now, the Cadet Force was mandated by this government to establish a cadet unit in every public secondary school. Today, there are more than 30 cadet units operating in secondary schools, impacting the lives of over 2,000 of our young men and women. And with the ongoing expansion of the program, many more of our nation's young people can be encouraged and inspired to participate and take an active role in making a positive difference to their lives. It will also reduce crime, delinquency amongst our young people's population, among the youth's population, sorry. Madam Speaker, there is also the Specialized Youth Services Program, which comprises of the Civilian Conservation Corps and the military-led academic training program. Again, statistics have shown that these programs continue to be a positive investment in the lives of young people in Trinidad and Tobago. Give them a second chance. This program gives them a second chance instead of them being labeled as school dropouts. Many graduate and they have the opportunity to successfully turn their lives around, Madam Speaker. And permit me, Madam Speaker, to read some statistics. 62 MILAD cadets successfully graduated from batch 1501 in July 2017 at CSEC exam. 40% of the cadets obtained 5 or more subjects. Now remember, these were dropouts. 80% of cadets obtained 3 or more subjects, and 100% passes were received in theater arts and physical education. All the MILAD cadets completed the Microsoft Digital Literacy Program, and the bronze and silver medal of the President's Award Scheme were awarded to them. 1 former cadet obtained a sports scholarship to UTT, and 6 former cadets were recruited into the last intake of the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force. So, Madam Speaker, we are providing a course for these young people. When they go to this training, they are afforded the opportunity to join the Defense Force upon completion and successfully completing their training. And I continue, Madam Speaker. 928 Civilian Conservation Corps trainees successfully graduated from Cycle 1701 in 2017. 800 are currently participating in Cycle 1702 from over 1,500 applicants. Madam Speaker, having a greater appreciation of the value of education, almost 25% have gone on to tertiary education. Recent evaluation of this program has revealed that the Civilian Conservation Corps graduates enjoy a high percentage of employment, almost 75%. So, Madam Speaker, the Civilian Conservation Corps program also imparts a keen sense of social responsibility to graduates, helping them to understand that their worth as skilled and productive citizens. In this regard, I am proud to note that many of them are engaged in mentoring programs at secondary schools and other groups throughout the country. Madam Speaker, the flip side of these commendable successes we face the tragedy of our young citizens opting to enter into the world of crime. And it is truly saddening to see so many young persons being caught in the cycle of crime and criminal activities. Unfortunately, violent crimes are committed at younger ages in many countries, including ours. Many of our young persons who end up as homicide statistics are collateral damage to gang violence. And Madam Speaker, I appeal to you again. Through you, Madam Speaker, we brought the bill before this House. We did not get any support. And as we go into this next sitting, Madam Speaker, I make the plea again to those on the other side that we need their support to support this legislation that we so need to make a difference in the lives of young people who are now jailed and brought on to the gang living. The gang leaders, the gang members, they are carried into the gangster life, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, and what it is getting money quick. Material profit, Madam Speaker. And as I noted earlier, we live in a society that advocates immediate gratification. And as I listen to the opposite side, silently, I'm feeling a thread of encouragement that persons will say, yes, we have a hard budget, so more crime. Madam Speaker, I'm appealing to the citizens of this nation that poverty is not crime. Poverty does not cause crime. I've come from poor, humble beginnings, and in my constituency, Madam Speaker, I can attest that we have poor people, but that doesn't take them to crime. So, Madam Speaker, as we look at what's happening here, let us in our contribution face reality. It is not business as usual, Madam Speaker. Things have changed. We are facing different times, Madam Speaker. I would not say hard times, because yet still we are better than many other people in this Caribbean nations around us and the CARICOM, Madam Speaker. So it is not hard times, but we are facing different times, which calls for different arrangement, adjustment, sacrifice, Madam Speaker. And all these issues of divestment and reallocation from the Minister of Finance budget, it speaks to crime. It speaks to crime. It impacts on crime, Madam Speaker, because what happens in the mind of people when they feel that they are justified in committing crimes, committing offenses, to get rich quick, Madam Speaker, it speaks to how we raise our children. How we raise our children. The old people will tell us, never hang your hat where your hand can't reach. And Madam Speaker, we need to be telling our young people that they need to organize themselves differently. There is life. Because, you know, Madam Speaker, one of the most hurtful things I have seen is when you have young people feeling justified that they could commit these offenses, and they apply for jobs, and they have a long criminal history. Because we as adults, we need to set those pace right. We need to set that priority right for them. We need to show them that there are consequences, and the consequences could impact on their future lives, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, soon when these young people find themselves in gang-related and organized crime, there is no exit but death. They either become victim or a killer. And if they are a killer, they'll be hunted down by the police. The police will pick up with them sooner or later. And if they were killed, they become as statistics, Madam Speaker. Is that what we want for our young people? Is that the life we want for our young people, Madam Speaker? The answer is no. So, Madam Speaker, there is a language, in the gang language. Today you kill, and you will be killed tomorrow. Madam Speaker, this government has for the past 2 years accepted the responsibility We have seen it. We see it and we know it. And the Ministry of National Security, through its agencies, Madam Speaker, we have been working collaboratively and relentlessly to change that course. All we ask, Madam Speaker, is the support from those on the other side. Madam Speaker, I will talk about the Citizen Security Program. And one of the ministry's social intervention programs that work directly with at-risk communities, including those affected by gangs, is the Citizen Security Program. The overall goal of the Citizen Security Program, which I want to say again, was started by a PNM government under Mr. Martin Joseph, the Minister of National Security. It seemed as the member for Superior, she actually forgot that, because I heard her saying that this was introduced under her government's watch. So, Madam Speaker, I don't want to be put down again because I don't want to talk about the Calypso. I don't want to talk about it again. So, Madam Speaker, that Citizen Security Program was introduced under a PNM government. And the Citizen Security Program focuses on addressing the high needs community, high risk, and addressing risk factors associated with crime and violence using the community interventions as the primary strategy. I want to commend the Citizen Security Program, the members of staff, as well as Project Reason, because Project Reason, under the Cure Violence model, they deal specifically and they target strategically persons involved in gang-related activities. And their continued intervention and the part played in the decrease in gang-related homicides, the prevention of gang and gun violence in their partner communities. I have to also commend the officers of the Hearts and Mind program, which comes from the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, which comprise of members of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. And they continue to establish better relationship between citizens and our law enforcement agenda, which is critical for our nation to establish a collaborative approach to fighting crime. Madam Speaker, there is a growing evidence that youth violence can be prevented and offenders can be rehabilitated when appropriate policies and intervention are adopted. The Trinidad and Tobago Prison Service houses the Youth Training Center. Over the past 2 years of our stewardship, the Ministry of National Security has recommitted itself to tackling youth involvement in crime head-on through community intervention and prevention initiatives. Records show that the YTC population is comprised mainly of young men in the 15 to 19 age group, Madam Speaker, and they are there for offenses ranging from larceny to robbery and murder. YTC continues to provide appropriate educational skills training and mentoring programs to promote the reintegration of these young men back into society with a productive purpose. Yesterday morning, Madam Speaker, I was at home and I listened to a radio station where a young lad, that's how they are described, he was being interviewed. And he spoke about the religious intervention he had in his life while he's in prison. And he spoke about his being sent back home. But you know what happened? When he was sent home, he engaged in crime again, and he was sent back into prison. On the second occasion, they continued working with that young man, and he praised the prison department for changing his life around, because he now is in the religious scheme of things, preaching, and he understands life and sees life from a different perspective. So, Madam Speaker, it is not an easy situation changing persons' lives around. Our government needs all the support it can get, both from the community and from the persons on the other side in this honorable House. Madam Speaker, these social intervention programs represent a unique window of opportunity to change negative behavior and prevent reoffending, and ultimately prevent and reduce crime and violence. And Madam Speaker, permit me to share some information. When we came into office in 2015, out of 420 murders, 33% were gang-related. And Madam Speaker, I'm pleased to report that in 2017, we have seen a reduction of gang-related murders to 18%. And Madam Speaker, that means, of course, Madam Speaker, this information came from the CAPA unit of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. And this statistics by murder, Madam Speaker, statistics from the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service has shown a notable decrease in the number of gang-related homicides. I didn't say a decrease in homicide. I said a decrease in gang-related homicides, Madam Speaker. And I can tell you that the initiatives that the Ministry of National Security is now engaging, it is working. It is working slowly but surely. It is working slowly but surely. You see, Madam Speaker, when we speak on this side of any activity that brought success, it is denied. But Madam Speaker, we must face the truth. We are not about storytelling on this side. We are speaking real truths here. So, Madam Speaker, these initiatives are working slowly but surely. And I can tell you, Madam Speaker, as I stand here, knowing of more developments, we have more to come. In the coming years, Madam Speaker, we will be a government standing strong because we have a hard-working Attorney General, a hard-working Minister of National Security who works every day and night, and we have a smart Minister of Finance who could put a budget that could lead us to a position of changing our lives around, changing our misfortune into fortune, Madam Speaker. And it's the same thing. We're going to change our misfortune of crimes into fortune. We're going to reduce. Because you know why, Madam Speaker? We heard from the Minister of Sports. We heard of his activities, his plans and his projection, his vision. We heard of the Minister of Community Development. We heard of her plans, her projection and her vision. We heard from the Ministry of Social Development. We heard about her projection and her vision, Madam Speaker. And you will hear, Madam Speaker, you will hear from the Minister of National Security tomorrow of his plan and his vision for success. We will take one community at a time and we will change this country around. So, Madam Speaker, I want to say that criminals do not drop from the sky, Madam Speaker. Criminals do not drop from the sky. Criminals are created from human beings, Madam Speaker, in our homes, in our family. And I do not want to say in this honorable house because we do not come from this honorable house. Madam Speaker, we come from homes. We come from families. We come from communities. We come from institutions. Yes, Madam Speaker. Today, we witness a fall in our reserves, a fall in the price of oil, lower capabilities, Madam Speaker, in the gas market. And we said whereas in 2010, energy sector revenue was 15.7 billion, today in 2017, 2.1 billion. And I must say it over and over because it seemed to me, Madam Speaker, that some people are sleeping. Madam Speaker, I want to wake up this house to the realities of this situation, Madam Speaker. The realities, it is real. Oh. We are not dreaming. The figures are there. We had a spotlight and we showed the nation what's the reality, Madam Speaker. But some people choose to keep the reality in the darkness and feed them on information they want to believe, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, we are faced with a fall in revenue, Madam Speaker. It comes like my husband say, listen, I ain't working for 10,000 again. I'm only working for 3. What would I do, Madam Speaker? Would I go and borrow more money? But I am a noble person, Madam Speaker. I will tell my children no more desserts, no more ice cream. Yes, Madam Speaker, I will cut and contrive because I was taught, don't hang your hat where your hand can't reach. And Madam Speaker, yes, don't put your hand in nobody's pocket, Madam Speaker. Some of the naysayers, Madam Speaker, will take the opportunity to invade the minds of our young people and tell them that crime is the only way out. But Madam Speaker, I hasten to add that within this budget, there are many opportunities for young people, many opportunities. And as I said before, when I spoke about my constituents. There are opportunities for people to become entrepreneurs. Yes. And we didn't have it when we had plenty, but we have it when we have less. Yes. So I don't know the magic that this Minister of Finance has done, because he has created opportunities, Madam Speaker, opportunities for young and old. Because the farmer saying he happy. The farmer saying he happy, he get $100,000. He say he feeling bad to raise the price of a dashing bush. Because, Madam Speaker, he said that all of gas going up, he getting $100,000 grant. So he is not going to deal with a business venture, a business approach. So, Madam Speaker, what we see happening is the Minister of Finance has directed all wise thinking people in Trinidad and Tobago that is the way we go in. We're going to see what we could do with less. We have to do it. We have no other choice, Madam Speaker. You ever see our old mother in a house, how they just drop it on you and tell them this now, you can't get no uniform, no new uniform next to me. You know what I used to do as a small child, Madam Speaker? We used to take our uniform and turn it on the other side and make a new uniform. And that is where we come from. That is where we come from, Madam Speaker. Yes, Madam Speaker, so that is what we have to do in Trinidad and Tobago. I would not, yes, Madam Speaker, I would not hasten to add that, Madam Speaker, some of us do not know about those times. And I am one to educate how we could do with less money. How we could do with less. Because if we don't speak those language, Madam Speaker, crime is going to flourish. And especially when we don't get the support from those on the other side to pass our legislations. So, Madam Speaker, this government, today, it is our time to make adjustments, sacrifice, and our country's economic constraints, we are going to sacrifice. And I can tell you, people out there, they know what's going on, you know, Madam Speaker. They know what's going on. They know what time of the day it is. I can tell you that. People say they're jamming still. They know how to jam still. Because they know how to cut and contrive.
Remember, your original 45 minutes are now spent. You're entitled to 10 more minutes. If you...
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So this government, Madam Speaker, we standing alone, eh? And we standing strong. Yes, but I'm certain, Madam Speaker, from hearing the people out there, I am a Facebook fanatic. I'm on social media every minute of the day too. And I'm listening to the concerns and the expectations and the comments made on that social media. Madam Speaker, people understand and they're on the ball. People know what they have to do. And Madam Speaker, they are praising the Minister of Finance. They're praising Dr. Christopher Rowley government. Because you know what they're saying? You know what the things they're saying? And I come from the country, but I will tell you all, country people wise. We may not be speaking all the flowery language, but we're wise. Madam Speaker, you know what they're saying? Dr. Christopher Rowley. You know what he do? He bring equity. Everybody must pay. Everybody must pay tax, Madam Speaker. And we like equity. Everybody across the board. They have to pay the tax. And you know what? You know what, Madam Speaker? That shows that our government is not taken for some as opposed to others.
Some are more equal than others.
Yeah, I need some more. So, Madam Speaker, we must, and I know we will endure. The majority of right-thinking citizens will understand that we are facing trying economic times. And I have faith, Madam Speaker, that all the citizens in this country, right-thinking citizens, they're going to support this government. Rest assured, we will be standing strong 2020, and we will be going forward. After this situation here is rectified, this is leading us into victory, Madam Speaker. We will be victorious. But, Madam Speaker, I want to say to each and every one of us, if there is one time your community needed you, it is now. And if there is one time Trinidad needed you, it is also now. Madam Speaker, as indicated earlier this week by the Honorable Minister during his presentation, this government proposes to launch a national crime prevention program. Madam Speaker, I believe the time is now for our citizens to stand up and participate. It is time for us to empower our communities. It is time that we act from the voices from our communities, Madam Speaker. In the same vein, the Ministry of National Security intends to introduce shortly this program, which strongly will impact on the communities and empowerment of our community. So, Madam Speaker, I wish to advise this Honorable House that the Minister of National Security will present full details of the National Crime Prevention Program during his presentation. Our ministry, the Ministry of National Security, will continue to dedicate resources and efforts to ensure that our young people can recover from the ills they suffer and help them to realize their true potential as worthy, valuable, and truthful. You see, truth, Madam Speaker? Truth will always overcome. Through direct collaboration with our citizens and the communities, through a whole of government approach, a whole of ministry approach, a whole of country approach, Madam Speaker, we will reclaim this country. We will certainly reclaim this country, and we will reclaim it from the tentacles of criminals, community by community, until the whole of Trinidad and Tobago will be safe again. And we'll say, great. Great is our leader. Great is our leader, Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, and great is this party, and great is this government. I thank you.
Leader of the House.
Thank you very kindly, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I beg to move that this House now adjourn to Tuesday, the 10th day of October at 10 a.m.
Honorable members, the question is that this House do now adjourn to Tuesday, the 10th of October 2017 at 10 a.m. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any against? The ayes have it. This House now stands adjourned to Tuesday, 10th of October 2017 at 10 a.m.